Welcome to another informative and interesting session of our Europe and UK Scholarship Series, which is an initiative of the Agri-Scholars Mentoring Hub. This series was created as a space for honest conversation, personal experience, and practical guidance for students seeking international scholarship opportunities, especially within Europe and UK. And if peradventure you are interested in catching up on our previous sessions, you can go straight to our YouTube channel where we've been able to feature multiple opportunities, scholarship sessions within Europe. And when you do, we would appreciate if you can like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for those joining us for the first time or our returning viewers, I want to welcome you to today's session. I'm Omobolanle Kalinikoshe, and I'm glad to be your host for today's session. All right, so for today, we'll be focusing on Marie Curie Scholarship, which is one of the European Union's flagship program for PhD and postdoctoral training. So this program is actually unique in its approach because it doesn't only offer funding, it also gives awardees the opportunity to gain international research experience, collaborate with top industries, and build a strong competitive research profile. So if you are considering a PhD or a postdoctoral opportunities, or maybe you are just exploring opportunities within Europe, I want to assure you that this session is for you. It's actually designed to give you the clarity and the practical guidance that you need to guide you on your journey. So I want to encourage you to stay tuned through the end of this session. So in this session for the Marie Curie, we'll actually be covering key topics that gives us a brief overview of what the scholarship entails, the key component of a strong application, how to develop a competitive research proposal, understanding the mobility scheme, and the host institution selection criteria. So what are the common mistakes you also need to watch out for and how to avoid them? But before we proceed into today's session, I actually want to know who is joining us for this session. I want to believe we are not just here all by ourselves. So if you are out there, you can hear us loud and clear. I want you to introduce yourself in the comment section with your name and the country you are joining us from. And most importantly, let us know if you're a first time subscriber or you're a returning viewer. Would love to welcome you on board. And while we are doing that as well, I also want you to take a minute out there to go to our event page and repost this session so that people that are not aware can be aware and they can actually participate in this ongoing discussion about the Marie Curie scholarship. So I'm still sort of waiting to be sure that we have people joining us for the session out there. I'm not yet able to see any response, but I want to believe we are live already. So just a minute out there to confirm like everything is going on well. Sorry, I want to take a second. We have people joining us for this. All right, yeah. So thank you so much. I think I just confirmed that the session is already going. Oh, thank you so much. I have someone to confirm. So we just wanted to be sure we are not on our own here. So Noma Google, I hope I got your um the pronunciation of your name correctly. Thank you from Zimbabwe. You're a first time subscriber. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy today's session. So please, you can go ahead to also invite your friend to join us for today's session. Okay, while we are also waiting for other people to join us, another thing as our custom is to actually have a short opening prayer just to acknowledge the presence of the creator of the universe and the giver of life, which has made it possible to host this session and for every one of you to participate in this session today. So, our Father and our God, we thank you this evening. Thank you for another opportunity yet in your presence to be able to host this session. Thank you for everyone that have benefited from previous sessions so far. Father, may your name be praised. So we commit our speaker and today's session into your hand. We want as many that will tune in and that will watch thereafter to be a beneficiary of this insightful discussion in the name of Jesus. And as everyone that would apply these tips to their application journey, we want them to return back to share their testimony in the name of Jesus. For in Jesus' mighty name we've prayed. Amen. So thank you so much for joining your faith with us as we commence the session officially. Okay, so going forward, I would also like to introduce our speaker for today's session. I'm sure if you are active on LinkedIn, you might have seen her post here and there, and she also has a YouTube page as well. So she hosts so many scholarship opportunities just to also encourage people and empower them even on their scholarship journey with the real application tips. So thank you. It's my honor to welcome Tafara Kundai Mavunga to our session today. So she's currently a PhD researcher at Boku University in Austria and also works as a PhD consultant with the International Atomic Energy Agency. So Tafara is an Erasmus Mundus alumna, having completed a European Masters in Animal Breeding and Genetics with a specialization in genomic selection and precise phenotyping. She's also a 2021 recipient of the Marie Curie Fellowship, which makes it the fact that she's going to give us a first-hand experience and practical insight into navigating this highly competitive program. So we are truly excited to learn from our journey and experience this evening. Tafara, you are welcome to this session and thank you for joining us today. Maybe you want to say hello to our audience online.
Yes, thank you so much, Blessing. I try to call you with your second name because it's difficult for me to say your
It's no
full name. And I'm very particular about, calling people the right way. So
yeah,
thank you so much, Blessing, for hosting me. It's such an honor to be here, to be able to share my experience as a Marie Curie scholar. And what's more exciting is the first two people that responded in the chat are Zimbabwean. So I am from Zimbabwe. So this feels good to have, people out there who are, following the work that you're doing here. But I'm so happy to be here. And I hope my experience will help you learn one or two things that can help you in your journey. I can't wait to really, discuss some of the things with you. Thank you. Blessing.
thank you so much. That's really true. So I think the Zimbabwe came repping this time around. Thank you,
Yeah.
Savoga. Thank you for joining us. I see you're also a first time subscriber. I hope you do well to watch out for more of our sessions on this space. Okay. Just to start the session, Tefera, with your personal journey so far in the academic space. Do you mind telling us more about your academic journey so far? And at what stage of that journey did you begin considering international scholarship opportunities?
Okay, so in my presentation, you were going to see more of my academic journey in that, but I don't mind sharing it with you guys. So I did my bachelor's from 2014 to 2017 in Zimbabwe at University of Technology. And as I was doing my bachelor's, I always had an urge or wanting to study abroad. And I was happy that when we started this session, we committed our session into God's hands. And one thing that that helped me during my bachelor's is my faith and knowing that I am made for more. So that kind of trained my mindset in wanting to study abroad. And as you know, things don't just come to you on a silver platter. You have to go for the things. So I started making sure that my grades were good. I started making sure that I research and know what I want to do. So that gave me a direction. So I think from my BSc, I knew what I wanted to do after. And then when I finished my bachelor's, I started working in the industry from 2018 to 2021. But I felt like something was missing. I felt like I am more of an academic person. And I was working in the animal health sector, in the feed sector. I like that this platform is for agri scholars. So whatever terms that I'm giving out, I know that they are understanding them. So I worked with some companies in Zimbabwe in the feed sector, in the animal health sector as a technical specialist, whereby I would advise farmers on certain things that they are facing on their farms. But I always felt like, no, I need to do more. So during that time, as I was working, I started looking at opportunities, and I was in alumni groups with some professors as well who kept on, posting opportunities and posting, a lot of things to encourage people to go back to school. So in that platform, I started to learn about, Erasmus. I started to learn about, different master programs. So I wasn't just a person who wanted to go abroad with academics, but I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to be a breeder. I knew I wanted to be a geneticist. So I wasn't taking anything that comes. And because of the alumni groups and the mentors, the professors, their experience, it really helped me. So that's when I started applying. And before you know it, I started my master's journey. And, once you're in the master's journey, you know where you want to go. I ended up doing my PhD now. So I hope that answered your question. Yes.
Definitely. I think it's so interesting to see that even right from your bachelor's, you already had the interest, like, okay, this is what I want to become. Because I think in terms of choosing a career path, most young people are still confused about it, and they find it difficult to align that even to their scholarship application. So I think that's a lesson for us there. You need to be clear on what you want, and that would help you, especially when writing your essay, to be able to stand out, because you are writing it from a place of conviction, and the
That's
reader
true.
can actually read through it and know that yes, you are worth considering for the opportunity. So these are just one of those two or key lessons I try to ask my guests speakers, so that we can also learn from your personal story. And maybe the second question before we dive into the session will be like, at what point of that career journey did you actually discovered Marie Curie scholarship, and what actually motivated you to apply for it?
So, if I'm being honest, I never knew that Marie Curie existed. So, I remember applying for the European Masters in Animal Breeding and Genetics. And, by the time we applied, um, uh, it was the COVID era and all of that. So I remember applying it, but because of life, I had just been married, and then I found out that I was pregnant, so I couldn't go that very same year. So whilst I was waiting to go for another year before the other second batch to apply came out, one of the professors in the sitting chair was like, "Oh, there is a scholarship that just started called Marie Curie. Please, I know you have everything and you were thinking that you would do it next year, but instead of having to stress about reapplying for the Erasmus because I couldn't go that time, how about you apply for this? Because Marie Curie wants people who already have their admission forms, who have everything ready. They don't want to go through the nitty-gritty processes that other scholarships are looking for, whereby you do the admission together with the scholarship application. They just want people who are organized with their admission letters, their recommendation letters, and when you're selected, they just disperse the money to you. They don't want to be harboring the admin part of having to admit someone to a program and having to follow up. So I had everything. The professor just sent us an email, and now I looked at IAE. Marie Curie is hosted by the International Atomic Energy Agency. I'm like, how is agriculture fitting into this program? Because it was my first time to know about Marie Curie. So I then started researching, and that meant that, that motivation letter that I had for the Erasmus, I had to remodel it to bring out the nuclear part of animal breeding and genetics. And from my presentation, you'll actually see that nuclear is not all about atomic bombs. It is in all the fields. But during that time, I didn't know it. So I had to go on the internet, start researching. How can I bring out the nuclear part of animal breeding and genetics so I could get this funding? So that's what I did. I went on the internet, and once you dig into the internet and also look back at your notes, you start piecing those things together. That's when the only thing I had to do was to write the motivation letter. Why should I get the investment from Marie Curie? So that's what I did. And we waited, and then I got the scholarship. So honestly, it's one of those important things that you have to do when you're applying for Marie Curie, bringing out the nuclear relatedness of your program into that. So I later found out that they are actually everywhere. Because when you talk about nuclear, I was thinking about bombs, nuclear energy, electricity, and all of that stuff. So that's how I got to know about it, and that's how the journey came.
Mm. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. Just to see that you are the mind of Erasmus, but God has a way of making it bigger for you.
That's true.
You
Yes.
eventually ended up being a following the track of Marie Curie. But all the same, it started with the fact that you even made attempts for one particular application that eventually led to the other one. So, like I do tell people, cast your bread on many waters. Don't restrict yourself. If peradventure you have not applied for Erasmus, would you have been with this particular scholarship today? No. So I think it's very important that we just seize opportunities as they come around us, and don't limit your scope of understand. I know when we talk about, even me myself, I can't imagine breeding and genetics related to nuclear energy. I was like, okay, I see it on her profile, but I've never asked her like, what are you doing here?
Yes,
I
yes,
just know
yes,
she's
yes.
working on breeding and genetics and whatsoever. There must be a connection that actually links into, and I'm glad to actually hear that part of your story. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that insight with us. Okay, so next now, I don't want to go deep before she started sharing everything pieces by pieces. I want her to bring it like fully for us. So this session will be sort of a bit different from our previous formats. So at this point, I want to hand over to Tafara to walk us through the application process for Marie Curie. So while she shares her presentation, and most importantly, once again, I want to encourage everyone, please do well to listen attentively. Take note of salient points that she would be mentioning that helped her secure this scholarship. You can also drop your questions in the chats as we proceed, and we would address them during the question and answer session. And once again, if you are just joining us, maybe in between, you are unable to join in earlier, I will encourage you. You can still drop your name and the country you are joining us from, and let us know if you are just watching us for the first time or you're a returning viewer. Most importantly, we would like to welcome you as part of this viewer for this session. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to um, Tafara just to let us go into the PowerPoint mode. Actually, we are trying to figure that out from my own hand.
Yes.
Yeah, so 1 second, please. I know we just did this. Um, Sorry, guys, we are coming. We are trying to watch. Okay. Please give us 1 minute. The slide is refusing to come up, but we hope to get that sorted out soon. So, okay, here it's up now, and I'm just sharing it. Okay, thank you so much for your patience there to put it on a slide mode. Yeah, I hope you can all see screen now. Tafara, can you see it?
Yes, yes, I can see
Tafara.
it.
All right, so over
Yes,
to
I
you
can see
then.
it. Yes. Okay, so hello everyone once again. My name is Tafara Kundai Mavunga. I am proudly a Zimbabwean, and today I'm going to be discussing with you about the Marie Curie scholarship. So I know that not many people are aware of Marie Curie. So Marie Curie scholarship it funds master students, it funds PhD students, it also funds postdoctoral students. The one that is most popular is the PhD and the postdoctoral scholarships because they've been running for years. So the Marie Curie for the master's started in 2021. I was part of the first cohort that was funded by the Marie Curie. So I will discuss all of that, and hopefully I'll be able to help you with important information that you could use. So I think I've talked about who I am already with Blessing, but I did my BSc in animal production and technology at the University of Chinhoyi in Zimbabwe between 2014 to 2017. And then as soon as I finished 2018 to 2021, I worked in the industry. I think I have also mentioned that I worked in the animal health and the feed, industry in Zimbabwe. And then after that, I started my master's, the European Master in Animal Breeding and Genetics, between 2021 to 2023. So this master program has different study tracks, and I was doing the genomic selection study track. So I did it in Germany and then in Norway. So for this program, you would then either go to Germany, Norway, Germany, Sweden, or Netherlands, Austria, Netherlands, France. You know how the Erasmus program is, but I was in Germany and Norway. And then as soon as I finished my master's, because I was a Marie Curie recipient and we were the first cohort, there is a program that you could actually get an internship in the International Atomic Energy Agency. So as soon as I finished, I worked as a research intern at one of the laboratories here in Vienna, Austria. And then as I was doing my internship, I also started my PhD in the agrigenomics department at Boku, but my PhD is on animal breeding and genetics as well. And this is what I'm currently doing at the same time, also working for the International Atomic Energy Agency. So one of the things that I want to talk about first is the Marie Curie Fellowship Program for master students. So I know that most of you are able to access the page, but I just wanted to bring it out there to you guys so that you could see how the website looks like. With bloggers right now, you might end up on a certain page that is not the correct one. And, some people can be duped of money and all of that. So I just wanted you to see the interface. So when you go out there and you search for Marie Curie, for you to know you are on the right page, it should look like this. And right now, the application period is closed, but it's going to open soon. So when you go there, it will tell you that the application period is closed, but you can actually get a lot of information about the Marie Curie fellowship program. This page is specifically for people who want to be funded for master programs. Next slide, please. So, what is the Marie Curie Fellowship all about? So, this one is funded by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which I'll be referring as the IAEA in my presentation. And it's one of the United Nations agencies. We know that there are a lot of United Nations agencies. So it's one of the biggest United Nations agencies. And then it supports young women pursuing master degrees in nuclear. So if you are a male who is here, please do not feel like this is not for you. You have sisters, you have aunties out there who might benefit from this. So please stay tuned so that you can be able to learn one or two things that you can help your aunties and your sisters or the women in your life to know about this scholarship. So it mainly funds women for the master program. So how did I discover the Marie Curie? I discovered it through a professor who was a sitting chair of the Erasmus program I wanted to pursue. I think I have said that during my introduction with Blessing. Next slide, please. So before I talk about what the Marie Curie really looks for, I would like to bring it out there that most people, when they hear about the Marie Curie, they think about nuclear. They think that I was one of those people who thought the same, but it's not about nuclear. And you will see it in the next slides, what I'm talking about. So when you are applying for the Marie Curie, you need to have strong grades. But at the same time, when you have strong grades are not everything. A great, scholarship application borrows from all the disciplines that we are going to talk about. Of course, grades are important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if your grades are not so, good, you cannot apply for this. Because when the scholarship board sits down to look for the next recipients of their scholarships, they don't just look at grades. They look at quite a lot of things. So as you are seeing strong grades there, don't disqualify yourself first. You can actually make it up with the other areas of an application you want to do. So another thing that you need to make sure when you're applying for the Marie Curie is the relevance to nuclear related fields. So I always tell people that applying is good, having many applications is good, but if you do it without direction, then it doesn't bring anything to you, it doesn't add any value. So as you are applying, make sure that your program that you want to study is nuclear related. And one thing that I mentioned before was Marie Curie wants people who already have admission letters. So if you want to make it for the next cycle, I'm sure you already have your admission letter now. Because once the application cycle opens and you don't have an admission letter, that means you're not fulfilling the requirements of the scholarship. Then you're not able to apply. So if you're out there and you don't have an admission letter yet, don't fret. You can work on the admission letter and also see if you can make it for this cycle or otherwise make it for the next cycle. Why am I saying this? It's because most people think you can just wake up and say, I'm applying for a scholarship, not knowing that applying for a scholarship is a sequential process. It takes time, especially if your plan is to apply abroad. Then it means they have their application windows, and if it has passed and you can't get the admission letter now, then you're missing it for the application window that is coming. But anyways, that's not what I'm here to talk about. It's something that I thought I should bring it out there. And then another thing is Marie Curie doesn't necessarily need you to be in Europe for them to fund you. We had people in our group, they got Marie Curie in their home universities. And the good thing about it is with the, high living conditions or the high living costs in Europe, those people were receiving the same amount of money that we people are in Europe were receiving whilst they are in their home country. And if the audience is including African people, you know that the cost of living back home is much more cheaper than here in Europe. So those people actually enjoyed the scholarship. Not discouraging you guys to apply for Europe, but even if you have an admission letter for that program that you have from your home university or from your country university or from a regional university, it mustn't be necessarily in Zimbabwe. It could be in South Africa, it could be in Namibia, it could be in Uganda. The fact that they allow to fund people in their home country and also abroad is a plus for me when it comes to the Marie Curie. So do not disqualify yourself. Please, if you can even apply even if you're learning in your home country. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is Marie Curie has the International Atomic Energy Agency has a lot of departments. So if you are doing a program that is related to nuclear safety and security, this includes all the departments I listed here. If you go to the International Atomic Energy Agency page, you can actually see the different departments that they have. And then you see if your program is aligning with that department, then that means you are eligible to apply as long as you are able to sell yourself. So those in nuclear safety and security can apply. those in nuclear energy, mechanical engineers, and all those people from engineering, they can also apply for Marie Curie because it is a nuclear related field. Next slide, please.
I'm sorry, Tafara, just to ask one or two questions before we move ahead concerning the admission and the program. The first
Yes.
thing I want to ask there is in the case of applying for admission. Now, is it that you can apply for this admission in any university all over the world, or they have specific countries, specific regions, specific partnered institution that they want you to apply for a program? I know the program has to be related to nuclear energy, but what is the order like in terms of the university admission?
Okay, so you have to be you have to apply from a university that is a member state of the uh, International Atomic Energy Agency. To
Okay,
my knowledge, up to now, most of the countries are member states of the UN. So if they are African countries that are not eligible, there might be one or two, but I know that most of the countries are part of the UN. They are member states of the UN. And I think most of the EU is also part of the member states of the UN. So I might not be able to pinpoint all the countries, but you can actually go on the International Atomic Energy Agency and just search member states. You can be able to see which countries are part of the member states. For Africa and EU, I'm not really worried, but I'm not so sure about some of the countries in Asia, though I know most of the countries in Asia are part of it. So for the finer details, I would advise people to go on the page, search for member states of the International Atomic Energy Agency or the UN. They should be able to see it and
okay.
then know if the country is eligible or not.
All right, so thank you very much for that. Then my second question will be about the international energy atomic stuff that you are talking about. Are they the main person funding all the Marie Curie fellowship for PhD and doctoral research? So just to get it right, or they have we have this IEA affiliated Marie Curie program.
Yes, so I will come to that, but
Oh,
some of it is EU funded.
okay,
Is EU funded, especially the PhD and the postdoctoral. So when I discuss them, you will see the kind of difference. But
okay,
for this one, for the masters, it is funded specifically by the International Atomic Energy Agency.
okay, okay. Thank you very much for
Yes. So I've talked about departments in nuclear energy and nuclear safety and security. But you see these 5 departments that are here, they are also part of the International Atomic Energy Agency. There's the division of the human health. You might be studying something related to marine environmental, laboratories. There are a lot of master programs that are related to that. That means you can apply as long as you can bring the motivation how your program is linked to the nuclear related field. But as long as you are seeing your field on these 5 departments that I've mentioned, that means you are eligible to apply. So you can see it's covering agriculture, it's covering, human health, it's covering physics, it's covering environmental science.
yeah,
So it's all about knowing how to fit the program that you're applying to nuclear science.
this, yeah,
So the biggest department that the IAE has is the Department of Nuclear Sciences and Applications, right? And
yeah.
what you see here are some of the programs that they that they do in the department. And until I started to do my internship in 2023, I had no idea IAE has an animal breeding and genetics team. So you are not the only one if you're out there. So they have the human health, and then they have the nuclear science and applications, which is what I want to talk more about because this is an Agri Scholars platform. But you see, they have animal production and health section. So for those people who are doing, immunology or veterinary science, if you can link whatever you're doing or disease surveillance and all of those topics, if you can link it to nuclear related, to nuclear sciences, then you are eligible to apply for this program. They have food safety and control section. So my food science people who are doing these things are able to apply. So they have insect pest control section. So we have those people who work with, how to curb mosquitoes, or, those human even related pests that affect, us humans and also animals. They have that. They have plant breeding and genetics department, which works in mutation breeding. As long as you can link your program that you're seeing here with nuclear, you are good to go. They have the soil and water management, which is where, all those people who are doing hydrology, water engineering, and everything in agriculture, they can apply. So what I'm trying to say is, as you see Marie Curie, don't dismiss it because you feel like I don't have something related to nuclear. What I'm showing you is they are covering everything. If you're a radiographer and you're doing your master's in radiography, you fit in the human health. If you are someone who is doing what do you call it, data science related to nuclear, you fit there. You fit the hydrology, you just fit everywhere. But this is some of the things that people sometimes don't know when we talk about the Marie Curie. So we can move to the next slide. If you give me the chance, I will preach.
Oh my God. That's fine. We are all here for that.
Anyways, so who should apply? It's open to member states, and you have to apply you have to make sure that you are applying from the member states. Your university is from the member states, and then it is only for female candidates. And it also needs people who have been accepted by or enrolled in accredited university programs. And then they talk about the GPA. Each scholarships talk about GPA because they want to avoid the case whereby people with the lowest GPA can apply. But if you are within this range, make sure that you are able to apply. Next slide, please. Now, I wanted to talk about the award. So students are awarded up to 20,000 euros for tuition costs and 20,000 euros for living costs as well. So what it means is when you are applying for the scholarship, you need to make sure that the tuition fee that you're applying for is within this range, because once it goes beyond, they are not able to fund you, and you would have to meet up the rest. If you can, that's okay. But a safer decision would be for a student to apply for something that is within the range that the IAE funds for. But it also doesn't mean that if your school that you want to go for is like 25,000 or 26,000, you shouldn't apply. Because what it means, if they give you the 20,000, then you can make up for the 6,000 that is remaining. Next slide, please.
You did not mention about that big money that I'm seeing for the stipends. Jesus.
Sorry?
1,000.
Sorry?
I'm just talking about the living expenses, like 20,000 euros for the stipend.
Yes. That's sorry about that disturbance. So that's what they give you. And when I joined the program, it was like they would give you per semester. So it's not like other programs where they give you monthly. So they would give you per semester. So that means if they're giving you 20,000, you get your 5,000 every semester. So how you manage it is on your own. So these scholarships really tries to fund people who are independent to some extent.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Now, I just put this slide here to ensure that you guys are able to see what they need. You can also check it on their page, but of course, you would need a passport. You would also need an official acceptance or admission letter. And then one of the most important things is having the statement of the tuition fees or confirmation of the tuition fees. So once you get an admission letter, you need to contact the school so that they give you the statement of the tuition fees, as it is part of the requirements that they need. So without that, you are not meeting the requirements of that scholarship. Now, I think some of the documents, you know about it, your transcript. And then one thing about the scholarship is that they send the referees directly on their own. So you don't have to ask the referee to write the recommendation for you. Maybe what you need to do is to assure them that someone is going to contact them, and also check if they have been contacted, and also check if they have sent back the feedback, because that's where most people lose it, if their referees do not respond on time, or they forget about them altogether. So that is also an important thing to note. Make sure that the person that you put as a referee is reliable. Yes. Now, all of the process is done online. So now you're not able to see the interface because the application window is closed. But it's like you are logging into your an account, and you do everything there. You don't need to send anyone an email. It's done online altogether. And please take note, if they ask you to upload things in PDF, do the same, because right now we are in the era of artificial intelligence. And sometimes before those things reach the eyes of a human being, they go through a system which immediately rejects you if you don't give them all the requirements that they need. So it's one thing that I always tell people there, that follow the instructions, because your application might not even make it to the printing zone where they will sit down and discuss, because it has already been rejected by the system because it doesn't meet other requirements. Next slide, please. Now, I think I've stressed a lot about the research alignment, how you need to have a clear connection between your interests and the nuclear applications. Now, you see, I put it in red that, it shouldn't be generic. What I'm saying is we are in the era of internet, and guys, I don't know how to stress this enough, but we are in the era of internet, and most people, if you go on the internet, you get everything that you need. But what you don't know is some of these things are so generic, they are so similar, that if a human being looks at the application, they can tell that this was written by a person, or this was just taken from the internet. There is no, soul in it. AI writes the same way. So what it gives you is what it gives the next person, is what it gives the other person. So imagine if the three of you apply to the same program. It means that your research alignment or your motivation letter is just going to be the same, and they can tell that no, Tafara didn't put in the work in this thing. Now, another thing is the impact and purpose. I know that most of the people, we look forward to studying abroad because, we want to get out of our countries. But let me tell you one thing. When scholarship boards, or when people are investing in you as a person, what they want to see is someone who is willing to contribute to their home country, who is willing to contribute to their community. So if you don't bring that into what you are writing or what is being asked of you, already they are thinking, oh no, this person is not thinking about the community. So why should we, give them instead of the other person? And then they are also very particular about the gender equity and development focus. So it's something that you also need to bring out, not to dwell much on it, but to bring it out in your motivation letters or in the questions that they ask you within the online application. And then another thing that is very important is the leadership. Sorry, can you go back? Yes, is the leadership and potential. You need to have evidence of initiatives. You need to be someone who is very active in the community, someone who mentors other people, someone who does problem solving. I get this question a lot of times. People are saying, oh, no, I don't have the platform to do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be something big. But it could be maybe during your break, you were mentoring people in your home, or maybe all level people you were helping. And with a track record, that could actually help you and show that you're someone who has a leadership and potential. Next slide. Now, I think I have talked about this in passing, but how do you position your profile for success when applying for the Marie Curie? You need to give them a practical framework. There is a tendency of people having to overdo things or be overly ambitious in their application forms. As someone who reviews other people's application letters, I have seen it. And sometimes it doesn't come out in a nice way. So you need to be very practical, and you need to also talk about what you have done, what you're doing now, and where you're going. That really needs to come out. Next slide, which I will explain this in a more detail. Now, here is the positioning triangle that I was talking about. When you talk about the past, you're talking about what you have done. That means your academic background, because you're assuming you've finished your bachelor's, the projects that you've done. Have you done some internships? Have you worked in the industry? That is very important. And then for the present, you need to talk about what you're doing now. You need to have a clear career vision, and you need to mention how this scholarship fits into that. And some of you will say, oh, I'm not going to work yet now. That's where I was talking about the community things that you could be doing. You might not be going to work now, but you might be inspiring the young students that are there, trying to tutor or do something. That is important, because when you give them what you have been doing for the past years, you won't have a gap in your CV, right? Because that is exactly what they are looking for. People who are proactive, people who don't really have to wait to say, I need to have a job for me to have an impact. And then for the future, they want to know what you're going to do. And this is where also some of the people miss it. They become, over ambitious as well. You are being asked what you're going to be doing to be doing in the future, and you're already. It's good to dream big, but at times we have to be realistic. So as you are, writing this, you need to make sure that you keep yourself grounded and mention things that are doable, not in a way that will make the person who is reading your application to say, you know what, maybe they will stop and laugh because it is just too much. So we need to be careful about that. Next slide, please. Now, here is what most applicants get wrong. They have generic motivation letters. They have no clear career direction. They are applying without research alignment. I think I've talked about this when we started, that you don't just need to apply for the sake of applying, because sometimes you will hurt yourself. You will get a rejection and you start asking yourself, why am I not being picked? They are not picking you because you are not aligning with their research. But if you pause and focus on what is aligning with what you're doing, then you're reducing the number of times where you get a rejection, because already you are within their scope, right? And then there are people who over focus on grades. Grades are good, but there are other things that make a scholarship perfect. And I think I've been mentioning them as we were going. So in as much as grades are good, you also need to make sure that the other parts of your application are not suffering. And then what most applicants get right, sorry for the typo there, they tell a coherent story when they are applying, because an application letter is Tafara sending the letter in a room where she is not in. So that application letter should be able to represent me very well and not leave the people who are reading it there confused. So what it means, you need to be able to tell a coherent story. Your things should not be all over the place. You need to have intentional choices. And you also need to demonstrate an impact mindset. It's not all about telling them about who Tafara is, but they should be so eager to meet the person whom they are seeing through the paper because of how I'm telling my story. You are selling yourself. Your application is the one that you are sending into rooms that you are not in to say, oh no, we need to pick Tafara because she represented herself very well. So don't just write for the sake of writing. Don't just go on the internet and just pick everything else that you see. And when you do that, the internet is there to guide you. But when you pick everything from everywhere else, you will find out that the person who is reading your application is seeing John, is seeing Mary, is seeing Peter in the same application, which doesn't make the application stand out very well. And then you need to make sure that everything aligns, your CV, your motivation, and the direction that you want to go into. Next slide. I think I'm taking too long. So why am I stressing about the motivation letter? It's because Marie Curie is not like other applications where you get an interview to represent yourself or to correct what you have said, maybe what you might have missed in your application letter. Once you send the documents, those are the documents that are going to represent you there. So you need to be able to, they need to be able to know who you are, what you have done, the problems that you care about, and how you're going to solve them, and why the nuclear field, and also why the program as well. They need to know the motive and also your long-term impact. So that's why I'm stressing that these things, if you take these things seriously and do them right, then you are most likely going to be picked. Next slide, please. So before I move into the other sector, I just wanted to talk about how the Marie Curie helped me. The Marie Curie, after you finish your program, you also get like a possibility to do an internship. I think I have expressed that. And that, experience gave me a lot of things that I might not have experienced if I was out there. I have gained valuable networks. I've been able to speak in global forums. Everything, it gives you a flow because they collaborate with different, people in the sector. So with this scholarship, if you take it and do it very well, you are able to get full mentorship from them because they don't just say, oh, you have graduated for your master's, now you have to figure it out for yourself. They try to put their students, even after, into placements, into areas where they can get professional experience. So it's one thing to consider if you're going to apply for the Marie Curie, because they are not just going to stop there, they are trying to enrich your future. And that's one thing I like about this scholarship. Next slide. Now, I think we have hinted some of the things within our conversation. Marie Curie is a bigger ecosystem. You see, I've talked about the master program. It also has the postdoctoral and the PhD program, which I think most of the people are much more aware than the master program. So because I was part of the master program, I try to dwell much on that, but it doesn't mean I'm not aware of what the other programs are also doing. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of how they do it, but not in so much detail. So we have the doctoral network. It is part of the Marie Curie Actions, and it has fully funded PhD programs across Europe. And the main thing I wanted to say, it is built on international plus interdisciplinary research training. It also provides you with mobility. So you will move around university. So one thing I wanted to stress is that the Marie Curie doctoral network, you don't apply as a single, PhD student for the program. This is done by universities, research institutes, industry partners. So they create like a consortium working on a certain objective, right? So it's those universities and the research institutes and the industry partners, when they create a consortium, then they apply for the Marie Curie doctoral network. And once they get funding, you will see them posting about maybe 15 PhDs that are working towards a certain area. So it's not like other PhDs where you can apply on your own, but you have to look at the doctoral network and keep up to see if there are any groups within your field that are offering PhDs. So recently I saw that there was a consortium that was doing, that applied for plant breeding or plant biology, and they released around 15 doctoral, programs that they were offering. So this, you can't apply it on your own, but you have to keep an eye to keep on checking on their page which consortiums were funded. Then from there, you can see and look out and try to check maybe their LinkedIn pages to see if the PhDs are already being published out there. So that's one thing that I wanted to stress, that this one, you don't apply it on your own, but you wait for the consortium to get the funding. And then from there, they will advertise PhD programs. Next slide. So this is what their page looks like. So if you go there, you will see some of the programs that they are funding. You will see some of the doctoral, programs that are currently open for applications. Sometimes you don't see it here, but you would see it on the pages of the universities that got the funding. So you have to keep an eye. You have to keep an eye either on the Marie Curie page or also on the different universities that would have been given funding. Next page, please. Now, you would see that it's the same for postdoctoral fellowships. So for these ones now, you can't also apply on your own. You have to, of course, you might be the driver between the research, but it has to be done together with an institution. That's why I didn't try to dwell much on it, because this really depends on research institutions. It's not something that you can do as an individual. So if you go on their page, you can check and see how they do, these things, but it's not something that you can apply on your own. That means you have to do it with a research institution. That's why I didn't dwell much on it. I tried to dwell much on the Marie Curie for the master program, because I know that one you can do it on your own. But how the postdoctoral and the doctoral networks of Marie Curie is structured, you would need to go through it through an institution or through a consortium. And if you want more information, you can actually check on their page, as I have noted here down. Next slide, please. Then that's it. So I think I am done. Thank you so much for listening. And I would like to connect with all of you who are there. You can connect with me on my LinkedIn using Tafara Kundai Mavunga. That's my full name. And I also have a YouTube page where I share about scholarships. I share about my experience as a PhD student who is also working, where I also share, information about how to create, a strong scholarship application. So it would be nice if you could connect. And I also offer some mentorships depending on how people would want to be mentored there, or how people would want their guidance there. So from my YouTube page, you can actually see some of the things that I am doing. But don't worry if you see other things that are not related to scholarships, because I am also trying to show you that you can be academic and you can also enjoy your life there. So thank you so much, Blessing, for having me. I hope I have helped one of you guys with one or two things that are enriching to your journey.
Yeah, so just to end the session there, I'm just going to stop this. All right,
Yes.
so thank you so much. That was a very, very detailed how do I call it, walkthrough for the whole. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't know there was a master's program from Marie Curie. I just knew
Yeah.
about the doctoral one and the
Yes.
post one. So that was even the main emphasis for our sessions. Well, but it's also good to see how you were able to walk us through the masters, the PhD, and the postdoc. I have one or two questions because I was also jotting down to make sure that I was following the conversation, because we never can say I can also be looking for opportunities for Marie Curie. Okay, well, I just want to open the floor. I see so many people joined in, maybe when after you started the slides. So I just want to take a moment to welcome people that are joining us for the session, and they are also putting out their questions in the comment section. But before I go into the question and session fully, wow, this is 1 hour past. We were thinking of rushing everything. Um,
Sorry, Blessing.
no
I
problem, it's
had
fine.
lost you for
So
a second. Sorry. Yes.
okay, so I just have one or two
Mhm,
questions, and this is mainly about the PhD, and the, how do I call it, the postdoctoral stuff, because I know we might have people there that are really interested in this aspect of the application. And from your own practical experience, I know it's more through the institution or consortium. And I know you also mentioned on how to find these positions, maybe when people advertise it on the web, on their web
mhm.
page or something like that. And from your own personal experience, what are the key requirements that you actually went through to be able to apply for this opportunity, and how were you able to be successful with the application? I think we need to hear those 2 points from your journey,
Okay.
because I know you got the masters and you also got the PhD as
Yes.
well.
So because I was already in the Marie Curie system and I did my internship within the lab, and they actually liked the work I was doing as an intern. I didn't go through the process that other people go through, but I know how it goes. So I was already in my research intern experience. I was already doing things that were like the project had to be ongoing. So then I had to switch from being an intern to being a PhD student. But here is how it happens with Marie Curie. So every year, uh, they release a call. So I don't know if you are part of the Eurosex, the EU platform where they post where they inform people when there's calls or when they are open for application. So there's something called the Eurosex, Eurosex, yes, Eurosex, EU,
Yeah, I'm
yes.
aware about, well, I don't know if somebody can subscribe to get
Yes,
notification.
you
I don't know.
can. You can. You can. So, with that one, you can subscribe. So anything that is EU funded comes from there. So they say, oh, people can now apply for the doctoral network funding. So when they do apply, right, and they are selected, you will also get a notification that this lab so and so got the funding and they are releasing so and so PhDs. They are looking for PhD students. So that's how it happened. And I think because all of us are on LinkedIn, you will see professors, posting that we have a PhD. It is part of the Marie Curie, or sometimes you don't even hear about it. You hear that there is a PhD program, and when you apply, then you know that your program is being funded by Marie Curie. That's why I was saying most of the work is done within the institution, because this thing is done at an institutional level. So you don't get to see much of the adverts too much, because the professors that you're seeing advertising for their PhDs, when you click on it, and that's when you get to see, oh, this is part of a bigger project for Marie Curie. You get the point. I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, yeah, and I think that helps me to get an insight about it, and just to add to it, because I know there are so many people that are in doubt about this application. I want to speak from my own organization. I'm not on a Marie Curie funding, but I know people that are on a EU funding project. So we have the kinds of Oluruminant, we have the Bullnet, that they are
Yes.
like EU funding projects. So what happened is, like, when the researchers or the PI, when they get the funding, they are the one that apply for it directly to Marie Curie.
Mhm.
So when
Yes.
they get the funding, they make a call out as well. Some people
Mhm.
can post on LinkedIn. Some people, they have their organization way of advertising for all these adverts. like for my institution, the main thing they require is like a cover letter and your CV for this
Mm-hmm.
application. So don't get it confused. It differs for different institutions, for different professors, for different universities. That's what I actually
Yes.
want her to emphasize, that for the Marie Curie doctoral network, there is no one particular way to say you want to go through the
Yes.
application system. So it depends on the person that gets the funding, that say, okay, for this particular project, I'm going to ask for research proposal, I'm going to ask for motivational letter, I'm going to ask for CV. The requirement differs. So, but
Ye-
whichever
Yes.
way, I believe the knowledge she has shared from the first part, which is also pertaining to Marie Curie, is also important when you are at that stage of applying for the doctoral network, or maybe for the postdoctoral training as well. So yeah, that's just a bit of clarity I just want us to bring into this whole conversation this evening. So thank you so much for that. Okay, I have a question here.
Mhm.
And I planned to ask you, but because since this person already asked, I was like, okay, let me leave it till the question and answer session. So Aminu is asking, hi, my name is Masura. Thank you for joining. My first question goes to us, can she briefly explain how our research in animal breeding is nuclear related? I know in the introduction you said you will mention it, but I don't think you actually mentioned how the breeding and genetics was nuclear related. So I'm also curious to get to know about this.
So, all the genotyping platforms that we are using, the SNP chip, that thing that is used to make the SNP chip is
Yeah.
nuclear. That's
Oh,
number
right.
one. So you could link that to genotyping. And we did radiation, radiation hybrid mapping, whereby when you want to create a SNP chip, you first take whereby when you want to create a SNP chip for a species that for the first time, you take the whole genome, you break it into parts, and then you start, radiation hybrid mapping, and then you start mapping to know at which position is which SNP, and all of that. All that mapping uses radiation. You use radiation to break the genome into smaller pieces to look at it in smaller pieces. That is nuclear related. We have people who are doing disease surveillance. Those, some of the PCR things that you use in the field and everything that is related to nuclear. So there are quite a lot of, subjects that we can relate to nuclear. We have people who are developing vaccines. When they are doing that, we know DNA on its own is nuclear material. So you don't need to link it to anything that is even far. Some of the manipulations that we do in the DNA, in the genome, are related to nuclear. How we break them, how we are able to see them, to have a closer, look at them. It's also related to nuclear. So I cannot really tell you in the exact English or what, because I didn't prepare for the technical stuff, but I'm just giving you a picture of how you can look at the processes that we do in animal breeding and genetics. Every now and again, you are able to see that we have nuclear related. The other thing I forgot to talk about is in feed efficiency. Now they can put isotopes into their feeding material, especially for salmon, for animals that you don't want to kill before you measure. You can put isotopes on those feed material. Once an animal eats, and you can put it through a microscope, and you're able to see how much they ate, how much they excreted, and all of that. That is nuclear related. So there are a lot of things. You just need to look deeper and be able to connect to it.
Yeah, that was a nice one, because in my head I was like, when you were explaining about breeding and genetics, I was like, okay, I need to get the one on nutrition, which is more of my field. But
Yes,
the moment you mentioned isotopes, I remember that that's true. We used to use all these chromatin markers
yes,
and everything just to test for the digestibility of the feeds and everything. So that was a very perfect example. So I think some way somehow every feed is related to nuclear. It just depends on
yes.
what you are willing to do the research to know, like truly. this thing is related to my field. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for giving a detailed insight to that question. Okay, I have Kasar. Thank you so much for joining us from Ethiopia. You're welcome on board. Afia is asking for how to get this recorded version. So after the session is done, because we are live streaming on YouTube, you would have access to this recording, like automatically it's on YouTube, so you can always watch it. It's going to be an heavy heavy video if I have to send it to your YouTube to your email, sorry. um I don't get what Miriam is saying here, but I'm not sure what we are saying here is for high school students. So, yeah, most of the scholarships here are for masters and PhD that we often discuss on our scholarship series platform. At the moment, we are not sure we have scholarship opportunities for high school. Okay. Castle, thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate that feedback. That was a valuable one. Um, Ndula Lovo, sorry, no Magogo. Okay, he said I missed the name of the EU page with the opportunities, please.
I think they should search the Marie Curie Fellowship. It will give you the postdoctoral, the doctoral. But for the masters, it has to be Marie Curie Master Scholarship, MCFCP. Because it has a different page from the doctoral and the postdoctoral network.
Okay, all right, so that's it. And I think
There's one.
Olushola is asking if we need to apply for the MSc first for before you can get the doctoral network.
So I think all EU doctoral programs require you to have a master's for you to be able to apply. That's one of the most important things I always tell people, to understand the system. I know in the US you can get your doctoral scholarship without a master's, but then you do it the first 2 years and then the other 3 years you're doing the PhD. But EU, as far as I know, you need to have your master's before you step into the doctoral network.
All right. So yeah, that's actually true. So, but in most cases, some people like in Highland, yeah, we have it that from bachelors they can also go to PhD directly. So maybe that's just an exemption for Europe. But like I agree with her, even in the Netherlands, you need your masters before you start the PhD. So the country differs. That's why it's just important if you apply for any opportunities, go through the requirements. What does it actually require for you to get the opportunity? So once you know if you are qualified or not before investing your time and resources into the application. Okay, then the last contribution, because we are also trying to round up on time. So yeah, thank you for this compliments. Yeah, thank you, Tafara. Your presentation is quite insightful. Yes, I just read about the feed efficiency. So I think she's also from the nutrition background and the like. So I think that's everything we have at the moment in the comment section. I'm not sure if I missed out on anyone, but I'm sure every one of us have been able to get a full picture of Curie scholarship is all about. I'm really excited to know more about the master's application process. But before we round it up, finally, like I just want you to give our audience one key advice that you think would help them in their scholarship application journey generally, and not necessarily for Marie Curie scholarship. Like, what are those things that can help them when navigating the application landscape?
First of all, I would like to say, do not dismiss a scholarship before you open the website and see the application requirements. I've seen that most people get discouraged when they see a bigger list of the things that they are being asked for. But you would find out that if you start writing down, you have 70 to 80% of the things that they need. So my advice is, before you dismiss anything that you see, please go on the correct website, like the original website of the scholarship that is being advertised. Why? Because you might fall prey into other websites, and from there you are not able to see all of the information. So the first thing that I want to advise them is, when you see a scholarship posted about University of XYZ, go to the page of the University of XYZ, not the bloggers, not the people who are posting it there, and see the requirements. Why? Because when you're doing your application, if you don't focus on the requirements, it becomes a problem. Or sometimes you don't go through with the application because of that. But as you are doing it, I would like to advise you to put God first in whatever it is that you're doing. In as much as we want academic excellency, I believe that all things become much more smoother if you include God into whatever it is that you're doing. I always tell people who consult with me that as long as you are consulting with me, I will tell you all the things that you should do right. But in the end, I will ask you to sprinkle it with a little bit of Jesus in it. Um, so I don't have so much advice, but to just say, in whatever you're doing, please do it diligently, please do it thoroughly, don't do it last minute. But in as much as you are doing it, don't forget to include God in whatever it is that you're doing, because He's the one who directs our steps.
Yeah. So I actually love that last part. And I think for most of the guest speakers I've been bringing to this platform, every one of them somehow get to mention about this, that don't forget the God factor. You know, when you have a scholarship of 1,000 applicants and they are looking for only 10 people to select, and maybe you have like 50 people that has the same, that met up with all the requirements. So what becomes the deciding factor and
Jesus.
what gives you an edge at that point?
Yes.
So that's why in most cases I appreciate the fact that not only me is seeing it from this direction, so many scholars are also seeing it, that the God factor is also very important in your application. So do your best, put in the best, and most importantly, commit everything into the hands of God. There's this grace called favor, and I really believe in it. So, and I believe that's just the best we can get from like an advice from our speaker this evening. Thank you so much. This is the last question I want to take. I don't just want to leave that person hanging in the comment section, so I thought we should take it before we wrap up. So Isha is saying, "Oh, I need assistance regarding external funding. When should I apply to Marie Curie for EMABG, as I got a self opportunity?" And I think maybe the person is likely going to get a chance, but I just wanted to answer the question.
So now the application window is closed, but once it opens, please check the page. I think it opens around July and closes in September. Once it opens, then apply, because you already have the admission letter and everything. You can also, because of time, I won't be able to get into the deeper details, but you can also message me on LinkedIn, and we could talk more about it.
All right, so thank you so much. So Isha, you can reach out to, I don't know if you saw our last slide, but I can type her. If do you mind typing your name in the comment section? So you can just type her name on LinkedIn, and you can try to connect with her
For
from
some
there and
for
for
some
more.
for some reason I can't see where to type, so please type it for me, and yeah.
Now I can't remember the last one, but I remember the first two one.
But my name is showing. If they can see me in the presenter mode, that's my full name. They can take a screenshot, and when they go to LinkedIn, they'll definitely see it, because I
Oh,
put
that's it.
because
Perfect.
I put my
That's
name. Yes.
okay. I think that's the best way to go about. So if you look, you can see her now. You see her name on our screen over there. So okay, so that brings us to the end of our session for this evening. So first and foremost, I want to sincerely thank you, Tafara. Thank you for sharing from your experience into every aspect of the Marie Curie scholarship. So thank you so much. And on the other hand, I also want to appreciate everyone who has joined us for this session. Thank you for your time. Thank you for engagement. And once again, if you have missed any part of this session, like we mentioned earlier, you can always have access to watch the full replay on our YouTube channel. So just go there and you have access to it. But then please do well to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more scholarship updates. You can also get connected to our Scholars Mentoring Hub for upcoming sessions, scholarship opportunities, academic pathways, career development across Europe and beyond. So we want to wish you a wonderful evening, and we want to wish you clarity and success in your academic journey. So in most cases, we started with a very short opening prayer, and I also love to close it with a very short prayer. So let's do that in 1 minute. Okay, our Father and our God, we thank you for today. Thank you for this session. Thank you for the success. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for the insights that our speakers has been able to share with us about the deep opportunities that exist within the Marie Curie funding, right from masters to PhD to postdoctoral training. And we know that for as many that would come across these videos now and later in the future, they'll be able to benefit from it and use it for their application. And we got testimonies to celebrate from these sessions in the name of Jesus.
Mhm.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. So just look out for our next session next month. Goodbye
Thank
and have a
you.
nice evening.
Bye.
Bye.